How's practice today?
It was good. It's cold. It's cold. That's kind of it was kind of a nice change of pace there. They told me it was hot when I moved to San Antonio, and it's hot. They were right. It's been warm in camp, and it was good today. It was good to get out there. We were going to have a good practice no matter what, but that little nice brisk air, I think, helped everybody move around a little bit quicker, helped me get my jacket on to layer up a little bit. But we had a good practice. We've had good practices. I tell you what, we never have a perfect practice. That's why you practice. But just really consistently from the start, the time when we started working with these guys, they've done a really good job of just giving us great effort. And if we can continue to do that, just give great effort, we'll help them get the things cleaned up that needs to get cleaned up. We'll start trending in the right direction.
What have you learned about your offensive unit here these last few weeks while you've been able to get in some real practices?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. That's every day you learn something new about them. And, there's an old saying in coaching that your players will tell you who they are if you just listen. And that doesn't have anything to do with, verbal skills. It's just if you watch them and you coach them and you're around them long enough, they'll start telling you who they are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. Every one of them's got strengths and weaknesses, just like every coach does. We talk about at length to our players about this. There's no perfect coach and there's no perfect player. We're all imperfect. We're just trying to get with perfect effort and trying to play the best that we can. And just I could go into great detail on that question, JJ, but I think we got a hungry bunch, a bunch that's very eager to to learn and to be taught, and everything that we've tried to lay out before them, they've responded. And that's been encouraging. I don't know if that's that way all over the country at every place, but I know here we can feel good and say about our guys are truly eager to be taught every day, to learn, and they give us our very best effort.
Without letting the cat out of the bag on quarterback, what are you expecting from your quarterback play this week?
Well, the thing we have to do if we want to win the game is we got to take care of the ball. That doesn't mean you play timid or reckless. There's a fine line there that we talk about having controlled aggression, and we got to be aggressive with our choices and our decisions that we make there with the ball in our hands. But also we've got to take care of the ball. That's paramount. And that's every game. That's every game in football, but probably more significantly the first game. The first game as an offense together or just under Coach Traylor. We've got to really do a good job of taking care of the football and controlling the controllable, so to speak, at the quarterback position. No offsides, make sure everybody's set, make sure we got the signal right. Just all the things that have nothing to do with going against the defense. If we can do those, then that'll give us a chance.
Is there a chance we see more than one quarterback play on Saturday?
Sure, there's always a chance. I would anticipate that be a possibility. And now we made a decision, and we're not keeping it close to the vest to try to be deceitful or to keep that from the media. It's just in our best interest, to not just give Texas State the exact guy to prepare for. And not that we think that that's any big distinct advantage, but it would just probably be foolish for us at this point to have revealed it and not kept it in-house. But we want to make sure the guy that we picked, and this guy knows this, and our quarterbacks know this, that we don't want them playing looking over their shoulder. You can't play the position looking over your shoulder and wondering if I make a mistake, is somebody else going in? We're not going to play like that. We've picked the guy that we felt like has given us the best chance to win, and we're going to go with him. But yeah, there could be an opportunity for another guy or two to affect the game, but it's not going to be musical quarterbacks by any means.
Thanks, Barry. I'll come back later for some more questions.
Okay.
Okay, Greg, you're up. I think you had a question, Greg. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Greg.
This has been such an unusual offseason and fall camp for so many different reasons. Coming through it the way you guys have, how do you feel about your team's overall readiness to take the field compared to a typical year?
Well, I think a coach would always feel like maybe you're not ever quite ready. There's always a little bit more to do or a little bit more to learn or another scheme that you want or another situation to cover. We've worked real tirelessly to try to check all those boxes, especially situations that could come up in the game to have our guys prepared for. But all things considering, Greg, just, like you said, the limited time that we've had, the short amount of time that we've had to prepare, I think we're about as ready as you could be. And ultimately, the game's about players, and that's not trying to disassociate the coach's impact on the game from a strategy or play calling standpoint, because that does impact the game. But the game is about the players, and hopefully we've got them in a position to where they're very confident in what we're doing, so they can go let their natural skills and their natural abilities take over and see if that's good enough.
Maybe one of the most common concerns that I've heard around the country as teams are getting ready to play is about conditioning. Where do you feel like your group stands in that regard entering this week?
Well, I think there's just a difference between practice conditioning and game conditioning. That's one of the advantages that they have on us, is that time they spent the week before on the field during the game will really benefit their conditioning level. But we have worked very hard on our conditioning level, especially on both sides of the ball. But we've really emphasized our tempo and have tried to really make our guys feel that in practice. And that has been reflective in the data that we've collected from practices, just as far as the volume of work that we're doing. We've tried to simulate it best we can like it's a game. You can never do that. You can never simulate game action or game speed until you play. And that's the old adage about week 1 to week 2. And, just you get better as the season goes. So the long answer to the short question is, I feel, but I hope we do, because that means we're getting some sustained drives. And I hope we get to the point where we get a little bit tired during the game.
Yeah. And you kind of touched on this a little bit. Texas State has that experience advantage, given that they've played a game and they had a little bit longer practice season. But you guys sort of have the element of the unknown, where you're able to scout what they've done, but they haven't seen you. So
Sure.
Who do you think that dynamic favors more?
It's probably a wash in some way, shape, or form. I think you're right. I mean, that's if I had to pick two, I personally would probably rather have picked knowing what they were going to do in week 1, so we've had a chance to study them, than I would, the element of surprise, so to speak. And so that's kind of worked pretty well, to be honest with you, from that standpoint, because we're able to see SMU play against them and see, everybody takes a new identity each year. They study, they go to off season, coaches do, and they study what they want to do differently, what they liked about what they did the previous year. And every identity shifts a little bit subtly over the year to year. And we certainly saw that show up a little bit. They are who they are on defense, but they subtly had some different approaches in the way they were doing some things. And it was good for us to be able to see this. They'll have some more wrinkles for us. But I think that was beneficial for us to be able to watch them play and get a feel for who they are.
When you think about the offensive system that you guys are going to enter with in week 1, how much of sort of the big picture do you guys have installed, or is it just sort of a segment of what you want to do to keep it simple for the players?
That's fair. I don't know if I could put a number on it. I would say we've got a good chunk of it, 75% probably installed and taught over the course of time. Now, will we call 75% of our offense for this particular game? No. And it may be higher than that, to be honest with you. I mean, we've thrown a lot at them, and then as the game week has come, we've tried to scale that back. You've heard Coach Traylor talk about that. You guys have visited with you guys about that, about just trying to make sure they can play as fast as they possibly can. But you also got to have bullets in the chamber, and you've got to have weapons and plays and opportunities to create big plays. And so we've certainly got our fair share of those. But ultimately, it'll be about how we operate our base offense.
Right. So how do you guys, and this is probably tied into that, how do you work around the possibility that certain guys will be unavailable, whether it's contact tracing or testing or however it may work out? How do you sort of make contingency plans for that through a week?
It's just kind of the new norm, and you try not to tie too many things to one guy, and you never do. It's not good coaching to tie, one play for only one person, and now you certainly could use a scheme to help, showcase or take advantage of somebody's skill set, but you always got to have somebody else ready to run that play, so it's not contingent on one person. Is there schemes and plays that you would only run with one person? Yeah. And if that changes during the course of the week late, then you just take that out, because ultimately it's not going to be about a certain play that we didn't run. It's not going to affect the outcome of the game. It's going to be how we block and how we take care of the football and how we do our own job will determine the outcome of the game.
Okay, JJ, back to you.
What are some of the things that jump out about Texas State defense to you, Barry?
Scrappy, well coached. The scheme presents unique challenges. There's some people playing it across the country, but they've kind of really sold out to what we're referring to as like the robber defense. It gives you the illusion that the running game is really there, and then they fit the run really well, and they make it hard to do to do a normal passing game because it's the old Tampa 2 coverage is their base way of doing it, which there's not a lot of holes in that. So I would just say that they know who they are, and they play really hard, very tenacious, and we're going to have to match or exceed their intensity for us to move the ball and to play well on offense. That's going to be paramount that we match and exceed the intensity they're going to play with from start to finish. And because they are very well coached, they got a good scheme. They know who they are, and you can see clearly their identity.
That style of defense, is it kind of disguised a little bit? Can you go into a little bit more of that robber defense and the Tampa?
Yeah, well, they basically, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like softball, you have a rover or whatever that's kind of there to clean up all the stuff, and they play with that, that robber or that rover that's there in the middle of the field a lot, and you think you've got a good run play. You watch over and over and over and over clips and guys, you freeze it and think, well, man, they're about to make 9 yards and it's a 3-yard gain, and then man, they got them here, and it's a 2-yard gain, and the rover really makes a lot of plays, and so it does create a unique set of challenges. But we've had a lot of time to work against it. There's some similar components that we've seen from our defense structurally that's helped us prepare for them, and then each game's going to take its own little twists and turns, and so how we adapt and handle that. Ideally, everything that we're doing has answers for anything that we could see, but it's going to be about us reacting to those and actually applying that, and not just in theory, that we put it in application. And if we can do that, and we can target the right guys up front with their movement, and, if the quarterbacks can see the right coverages and have their eyes on the right spots, then, we feel like we got plays and schemes that will give us an opportunity to move the ball if we play hard and, win our battles one-on-one.
How would you assess both the health and, I guess, play of your offensive line throughout this fall camp?
Well, we've been pretty fortunate. Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate from a health component. That's been good, and that's because that's hard. When you go in camp, whether you're going half pads or shells, or you're doing a thud scrimmage or a real scrimmage, it doesn't change anything for the guys up front. I mean, anytime you're going against our defensive guys, I mean, it might as well be a full scrimmage, right? And so every day for them is a full scrimmage. And so we've been very blessed that, our health has been pretty solid overall. And, I like where we're at on the offensive line. We're trending, the right way. We've started to get better, and Matt Maddox has done a really good job with those guys. And, I'm anxious to watch them play because I think we have some talent. Are we perfect? No, we're not. We're not at anywhere. We're not at any coach isn't perfect. We've got strengths and weaknesses there too. But if we can get to where we play together as all 5 guys and communicate, when we communicate the right way and we get going the right way and we use our fundamentals, I think at times we can be we've shown that we can be a good offensive line. And, our team and our season will only go as far as those guys take us. I love their attitude. I love their work ethic. I love the way we're trending in the right direction. I'm really looking forward to watching those guys play Saturday.
Are you planning on calling the game from the press box?
Yeah, I'm going to be up in the box.
Just what's some of the logic with that? You just feel more comfortable there?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it both over the years. I've done it both on the field and the box. I think there's nobody that could argue that you can't see better up in the box, because you can see things better, get a better feel of the game. It kind of takes the emotions out of the game a little bit when you're in the box, almost in an awkward way. It's really quiet, and, it's like you're watching it on TV. And So it kind of it takes the emotion out of the game, and you can see a little bit better the disadvantages. You're not down there with the quarterbacks, and you don't feel the emotion of the game. Sometimes there's ebbs and flows that you can feel momentum. You can feel, kind of your guys where they're at, as far as their emotional state and where they're at, and you can help, manipulate that, not manipulate it, but help, kind of temper that one way or the other when you're on the field. But I just feel like the offset is too much in an advantage for me to be in the box to see it. We got a lot of good coaches on our staff that can see things well, and they can help communicate on the sideline.
Sorry, Greg, I forgot to unmute myself. Greg, you're up.
Cool. Yeah, Coach, I just want to pick your brain on a couple of the individual guys on your group that we haven't talked about yet. Sincere McCormick.
By the way, they've already picked my brain on COVID testing this morning once. I don't know if there's much left. They got up in there pretty good.
Yes, I've heard it's pretty unpleasant, but
yeah, it's a new normal now. Bring it on. But boy, this one today, she went a little deeper than normal. But you know what? That's good. We want to make sure and get tested good. So go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
Yeah, then you can trust it. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to ask about Sincere McCormick coming back after Conference USA Freshman of the Year campaign. Like, how valuable is he to your offense, and how do you set the expectations for him?
Yeah, real valuable. We think he's a really good player, and really, I'm really looking forward to watching him play. Those running backs, it's hard for them to really, it's hard for us to see really who they are when you don't scrimmage and play games a lot. Now we've had a couple of scrimmages, and he hasn't necessarily gotten loose a lot. A lot of that just we haven't given him a great opportunity to do that. So I'm looking forward to watching him play, and hopefully we can get him loose Saturday. That'll be a tall task for us, is the way they play defense schematically. They do not give up a lot of long yardage runs, and so I'm hoping that we can generate some explosive runs Saturday. It's going to be a great challenge to do that. But his attitude, his work ethic, there's been a lot of things that we've, targeted that we felt like that he could improve on, like in the passing game and the protection game. And he's really taken to that. Coach Griffin's done a really good job with those guys. I think Brennan Brady's really good for him. I think BJ coming on has been really good, but feel good about the running back room in general, their maturity and the way they go about the game. But I'm really anxious to watch Sincere go on Saturday.
And then along the offensive line, Spencer Burford is kicking out to tackle. What's been your impression of his play so far?
Well, he's very gifted, as well as Sincere is. I mean, they're two of the more gifted, physically gifted guys we've got on the team. Spencer has got incredible foot speed. He's got toughness, and as he continues to learn the position and mature, under Coach Maddox's direction. The sky's the limit for him from a physical standpoint. And it's a lot of the things like it is for any player. It's, a lot of the little details. And when I'm saying that about Spencer, I'm saying that about everybody that plays offense for us, or probably everybody that plays offense anywhere in the country or plays football. It's the little things that add up. And he's really, really shown some maturity in that area as of late, of responding to the things that we've asked him to do as far as paying attention to detail a little bit more. Because if he can really shore that up and combine that with his physical abilities and he's got some toughness, I think he could be an elite player at an offensive line spot. I'm not saying he's there yet, but I think he's on that trajectory.